Dame i gospodo, ladies and gentlemen, this program will be in English, so I will congratulate here in this beautiful place and beautiful house of Ivan Meštrović, that is atelier of Ivan Meštrović. We are surrounded by his sculpture. Ivan Meštrović was one of the most known Croatian sculptor, well known. His works can be found in the museums all over the world. So we are here in the Festival of World Literature, and this program is called Emerging Writer on Tour. And I would, on the first place, love to welcome all of you that you come, writers, and especially His Excellency Spanish Ambassador Alonso de Zaredo. Please have a slide. This program is going with support of Spanish Embassy in Zagreb, Acción Cultural Española, and European Creative Europe program. So tonight we have 5 great authors and another one also author with moderira. So the authors are Cristina López Barrio, Luiza Bouharaoua, Marija Dejanović, from Ukraine Myroslav Laiuk, and from Croatia Dinko Kreho as well. And I give the podium to Sven Popović, and I hope you enjoy all the program, readings and so on, and I need to go to another event. Sorry.
So yeah, welcome and everything. You heard all the formalities. So first I would like to call...
I forgot that this event will be filmed for purpose of one documentary film, and Sven Popović is acting in that documentary film.
Not acting, just...
Okay, just being there.
Cheers. So, thank you all for coming. As you know, the subject is young authors. So, with that in mind, I would like to call the most experienced author here, Cristina López Barrio. If you would join me on stage, please.
Hi, good afternoon. It's a pleasure for me to stay here with my colleagues from Croatia and ask if you want me.
Okay, sure. So, welcome to Croatia, first of all. Welcome to Zagreb, welcome to the World Literature Festival. The first question I would like to ask you, so you always have, advice from older authors, advice for younger authors. Polanyi says, read Edgar Allan Poe. Zadie Smith says something else. What would your advice be for a young writer?
Yeah, I think the most important is younger authors good to think. If you can live without writing, then don't write. Don't write, really. But if you can't, then read with passion and love what you do. I think the passion is the most important thing to write. I don't know if you agree with me or no, but I need to love writing, because for me writing is like a roller coaster. Sometimes you suffer and other times you enjoy a lot. And then it's experience for your life, for yourself. And you need to be sure that you want to do this.
Okay, having said that, do you remember the exact moment in your life when you realized
I began write when I was a teenager. No, I love read. I don't know the moment, no, exactly the moment that I decide to be a writer. No, maybe the most important moment it was when I decided to give up my profession as a lawyer and decide dedicate all my time to write, only to write. No, I think it's very important decisions, no, in my life.
Okay, but okay, do you remember, for example, when you were, I don't know, in high school, or you said you were a lawyer, but was there any book, for example, you would like to say, like, this changed me, but what do you think, which book would also change a young and upcoming writer as well?
Okay. For example, for me, it was very important one book, The Canterbury Ghost by Oscar Wilde, you know. And, for example, The Treasure Island, no? It's a very popular, not very famous book, no, for kids or for young people, no. Another very important for me, because the structure is really exciting, is Dracula by Bram Stoker. I don't know if you agree with me. I think this is a really great book, no, to learn to write.
You nearly ruined my third question, so I love Treasure Island as well, but you know, you read a lot when you're in high school. You're forced to read. I don't know what's it like in Spain, but in Croatia and probably the region as well. It's terrible. It's not so much about the literature. It's not, the books are okay, but the way they are taught are terrible, for example. So which books, except Dracula, Treasure Island, and Oscar Wilde, would you make first graders read? First, the 14-year-olds read. And how would you teach those books?
How? I think it is necessary to teach the kids in the school that books can save us, our life. I think food or drinks feed our body, but books, the stories, feed our spirit, no, our soul, no. I think it's very important, no, that children has other way to see what does a book means, no. I think this is the most important thing, no. Books is like a feed for your soul, no.
So you have some experience now, but what advice would you give yourself when you started to write? Like, don't do this, write like this, read this, don't read this. What advice would you give your younger self?
I think that the most important is that you write all the time, no? You need to read, but you need to write, no? It's your profession, no? And you write with passion. You have to love that you are doing, no? I think it's the most important.
Now I have a question about editors.
Yeah.
So how much do you listen to your editor, for example? Do you listen to all of the advice she gives you? Do you get into arguments, with your editor?
Yeah.
How does that look like?
No, I listen, no? I listen the advice. I think that you always can learn something, no? I think it's very important, no? I think it's like we have to collaborate, no, in the story, you know. And for me, it's very important to share my story with my editors, no. I think it's one part, no, for publishing a book.
And this is going to be maybe the last question, maybe not, who knows.
Okay.
So you came to a really great literary festival here.
Yeah.
Did you look forward to meeting any of the writers who came here? And who was it?
Yesterday, you know, I met Fernando Aramburu. It was very exciting for me, and I hope to meet other writers today here.
We're going to grab drinks afterwards. That's normal here. Welcome to the Balkans.
Okay, thank you so much.
Does anyone from the audience have a question for Cristina? Maybe. Don't be shy. There's going to be a lot of authors. You're going to kick yourself in the head because you haven't asked her earlier. Seriously?
No.
Luiza?
I have a question. It refers to, do you have like a recurring theme? Is there a topic or a theme in your books that you've tried to research and write over and over again?
I can classify my books. It's very difficult, no? All the time, editors, no, or journalists ask me, what kind of book do you write, no? I think it's wide, no? It's necessary to classify, no? I think today it's very interesting that you mix different genres, no? I think.
Anybody else? Don't be shy. Okay, you can ask her when we have a drink, etc. So, please, a big applause.
Thank you.
The best part about it is that I didn't tell most of the authors when they're up. Basically because I was stuck with Luiza and drinking a beer. Because we thought it was at 7:50. But next up, I would like to invite a very young author, Myroslav Laiuk. Big applause, please.
Hello.
How are you liking Croatia for now?
I like Croatia very much. I have been in Dubrovnik and in Split. I like swimming. Swimming is one of my favorite things in my life. That's why I like Croatia very much.
And then you went to the most tourist places.
Sorry, what was your question?
No, there was not a question. Just how do you like Croatia for now?
Yes, but it's not everything I do here. Yes, I'm just writing my new book.
Already, I mean, he has a lot of books already, and he's younger than I am, so I'm quite jealous of him right now. But the interesting thing is he is not only a prose writer, and you know, this festival puts a lot of emphasis on prose, but he's also a poet. So, to me, I would like to ask you, how do you differentiate between those two? Like, when do you know this is going to be a poem? Oh no, this is going to be a short story. Maybe, oh no, this is going to be a novel. How do you know what you're going to write?
It's not a problem for me. I do everything I want, except prose, except poetry. I have two books for children. The second will be launched in 2 or 3 months in autumn. And now I ended the screenplay, and we are yes, we are preparing the first teaser because our government gave us money for teaser for screenplay, and I have 2 plays for theater, and it's not all, but and I have a dissertation, yes. It's not all.
But you have
yes.
degree, right?
Yes. it's not a problem for me, but writing poetry is not the same as writing all these things, because I don't believe in inspiration, I don't believe in muse, I don't believe in all these romantic themes from books. I believe just in one thing, a time of poetry, a time of creating poetry. I have no a single poem just for 8 months. For many people can call it a crisis or something like this. But I'm waiting for this poetry time, because in this poetry time I can write just 10 or more poems in one day, or I can write a half of a book just for a weekend. It's not a problem for me. And about prose, I like to establish, I like to develop a whole book or a whole prose part. I like to establish it in my head. And after that, I'm too lazy to write every day. That's why I wrote my first novel.
Wait, you don't write every day, but...
No. But I'm thinking every time, even if I'm sleeping. And I wrote my novel in 1 month. It's 300 pages. No, it's my way of writing, but I had a great amount of days for thinking about this. But yes, it's my method.
I think either you're brilliant or insane, or both of those things. But I'm very jealous of you right now. And kind of in love with you as well. But basically, you teach creative writing.
Yes.
What advice do you give to your students who are probably older than you are?
Yes, they are waiting for me, because our year began 2 weeks ago. And I have a lot. It's a 2-semester course just for 60 students, 2 groups of, yes. And we have just 8 months, and every time we write, every week we write just a short story, something like this. And I give them a lot of advices. I say them everything I know, no more, no less, just everything I know. It's some theoretical aspects, but not just this. I teach them how to work with sources. I teach them how to make their dialogues powerful. But not just this. I teach them how to ask themselves right questions. Why do they write? Why do they need it? Why it is so possible to them to choose my course? That's all. But maybe not all. Once my favorite Ukrainian poet, but not just Ukrainian, my favorite poet was Myroslav. He is from older generation. Once he gave me the advice, don't listen to anybody, don't listen even to me. And in general, it's my main advice to them, because the way of every good, prominent author is something exclusive, something in one example.
Okay. Now, just so when you teach your students, and something, someone gives you a really, really bad short story, so to say, but it's terrible. How do you criticize that person without being destructive and mean?
I ask him or her to read this story to audience, and the audience.
Okay, I mean, this is a weird...
We have such reading a lot of such...
That's mean. I mean, this is a weird question because you're a very, very young author, but obviously you have, I think that everybody else who's here except Cristina, we have less books together than you have, or things going on. So what advice would you give your younger self? That was probably your younger self here when you were 13 or something, I don't know.
For me, yeah. It's a myth that I'm a young author. In Ukraine, I'm not a young author because we have more opportunities to print, to launch our book. I don't know how and why, but it's so in Ukraine. About me, work more, read more, write more, swim more. I like the way I like the life I have. I think that every moment is the best moment. That's why maybe I would, I have no regrets, maybe just one regret about my music school. I didn't finish it, but yes, it's my...
Okay, just admit it, you have a twin brother, you cannot do so many things at the same time. You cannot do that many. Admit it, you have a twin brother or something, please, because I'm really angry at myself right now. You don't have a twin brother. Okay. Basically, now I would like to hand it over back to the audience. If anybody has a question, come on. Don't be shy, and it can be Luiza again. Zvonko, come on.
What was the music instrument you played? You didn't finish.
It was piano. It was.
Come on, anybody else? Moja? Okay, yeah.
Would you say you are at least really good at organization?
Are you good when it comes to organizing things?
Your schedule to get so much done?
I think that yes. I don't know.
I think your schedule has 300 pages.
But I think that yes.
Yes, please.
What is the difference between inspiration and poetry time? You spoke about the moment when it comes to, when the moment arrives to write poetry. Is that somehow different from inspiration?
I'm not good in definition. It's just a poetry time when you write or not write. I'm not sitting and say to myself, you should write a poem. I'm just write a poem. Once I was at a student's party. I was dancing. I like to dance, not so like swimming, but I like to dance. And I was dancing. I felt that I should write a poem right now. And I took my phone and just type a big verse. It had 16 lines. It was a rhyme poem, and I typed it in 2 maybe minutes. It just so. No, it's my poetry writing differs from prose writing. I don't need to sing.
I would just like for you to read 2 or 3 of your poems, just so we can get a sense of the language of the rhythm or whatever you'd like to read. We would have a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Maybe Хтось знає українську? Окей. No. 1 і 2. Якщо треба, хай буде рубець. Якщо треба, рука моя ось. Хай усього немає лиш це, коли інколи хтось комусь щось. Є ішов і куди прийшов. Є спростовуєш, а ти ствердь. Є червона троянда любов. І є чорна троянда смерть. The translation of the title is 1 and 2. And The second is rose loss. Трояндо, все згоріло, крім руки, що тебе тримала. Хто ти? Ти і глина, і краса, і тіло, і сам вогонь, і слина в кутику рота. Троянда не є цифрою 3 і не є знанням про воду, яку можна пити. Не є після поцілунку слід зітри, не є любов, розлюбов, не є корона, не є зміст молитви, не є улюблена ложечка, не є те, що можна читати, не є чужим закривавленим ножичком, не є рідна мати, не є спокоєм переможця, не Єрусалим і не Рим, не є збіжжям, що сиплю на лоно твоє. Троянда. Це не все перераховане, хоч і могло бути ним. Троянда. Це те, що було у руці, і більше не є. Вітри. На швидкості з авто висуваєш руку. Між пальцями вітри залишають відчуття липкості. Не бути нездутими не мають шансу ваза буску, смітник, болонка з неправильним прикусом, усе, що довірилося тиші. Вітри нахабно брешуть тиші. Вітри пробивають барабанні перетинки, ніздрі, серце. Вітри здувають з паперу завершені вірші. Ну ж, бо почуй щось крізь усе це. І чуєш сяйво, доцільність, перші люди, минуле, королева, кардіологія, війна, пляма, купа плям. Вітри тобі ціле тіло, кожну кістку, як шапку розтулять, і нашкрябаєш щось своє там. Так, ти матимеш довгі списки втрат, слів, троюрідних сестер, найближчих друзів, тем ґрунту, як редиску з глини вирвуть любов. Скажуть, що зрадив брат і пес забув. Після змусять купити буклет, як не бути здутим. Вітри здують перед тим, нашептавши правила для стояння. Вітри вшитів модель вуха, ховазанку, стремінця, молоточок. Вітри зрештою теж ряди слів, серед яких 3 останні. Прошепчи ще разочок.
Marija. Mrs. Marija Dejanović. So we have a great young poet who recently also went into music and performance, but I'm not going to ask you about that yet. So we're talking about young authors right now, and we could say that we belong to the millennial generation, right? Yeah, you knew this was coming.
Yes, yes.
What does that even mean? What is millennial? Is it memes? Is it nihilism? Is it the fact that you have a terrible job? Or what is the millennial generation?
Hello everybody. Well, I think that the millennial generation, the definition of it really depends on where you are. You know, in like America, it's not the same like in Croatia. In Croatia, I think us millennials are people who don't remember the war exactly, but we feel its bad effects, and it somehow reflects on us, and also growing up with internet.
Do you ever feel cheated? You know, to quote Johnny Rotten, like we were promised certain things, like if you study hard enough, if you're hardworking, you're gonna get a job, you're gonna make it in life, and all of a sudden you're looking for discount puddings in the supermarket or whatever. Do you ever feel cheated?
Yeah, I was never promised anything. I was only frightened by things. If you don't work, you'll get busted and you won't get anything. But then I worked and I didn't get anything, so they didn't talk about that. I don't know.
You're an extremely young poet, but you already have several awards behind you. So what does an award mean here? I mean, the Yugoslav region, for example. How much, it's a trivial question, I know, but how much does that help you?
It really helped. I would be like really hypocritical if I would say that I don't care about rewards, because I wouldn't apply for them if I didn't care. So I think they give young authors visibility, and in a field of reception that is really small, every drop of visibility counts. So I think awards are a really good thing from that perspective, and also from perspective of outside confirmation that you are somehow doing a good job, that you can now explore it and be free and do whatever you want.
Recently I mentioned that she has a musical career as well. You started it's a great collaboration, seriously, with Sara, a great, really good Croatian musician. So how did that come to be? Who approached whom?
I approached her because she's brilliant. And she was doing musical background for Goranovo Proljeće Festival, and I really liked playing with her, and I had a background in playing with music because I was in Improcon Festival and experimenting with sounds and different kinds of interpreting my own poetry, and I really liked the chemistry we had, so I asked her, will you please do music for my promotion of my first book, it's my first book, it's my baby, do it, and she was like, yeah, sure, let's see what you have, and now we're doing like 2 projects and we're planning the 3rd one, so stay tuned.
Yeah, we missed each other for a day in Vinkovci recently, but do you think, so you're a poet, a poetess, but do you think that poetry has a better, performative function than prose has, for example, that it's more built, for a live audience, so to say?
I don't know, I think it really depends on the text, because some poetry is meant to be read in silence and be read over and over and over again, and some prose, like, I don't know, Gogol is like really, it's like similar to tales, like folk tales and stuff like that, so you tell it to people and it sounds good. So I believe it's a matter of text.
Which poetry whose poetry actually do you read in silence then?
In silence is like T.S. Eliot.
I would read him out loud, actually.
He can be read out loud too, but I read him in silence. I'm introverted.
That much is definitely true. And as I see, you're a true millennial. You know that I'm going to ask you to read, but not yet, but you already have a cell phone there. I think that
I prepared for this.
Is the mark of a millennial as well. Would you ever write prose?
Oh, I tried. And it was okay, but I think to write good prose you have to read a lot, and I don't have enough time to read as much as I think I should to write good, so I stopped writing prose, but maybe I will come back sometime.
I would like to write poetry, but I'm really, really terrible, and I'm thankful for the fact that nobody had to tell me that.
Nobody put you in front of the audience.
No, I knew that I was a terrible poet, but never mind. Before you start reading, does anybody have any questions? And don't be shy, please don't be shy. She's really brilliant, come on.
Thank you.
Seriously? Would you like to read us something then?
Okay, yeah.
A big... Oh, there is a question.
If someone interprets your poetry wrong, like if someone sees like secret details that you don't want them to see.
I don't believe in right or wrong with constructing meaning from poetry, because my poetry is in a way like a playground for readers, so they can get out of it what they want. So I like when they get anything, because it means I affected them somehow and it makes me happy.
Did your studies affect your poetry?
Yes, really negatively. I was really abstract, and I used Shklovsky terminology to describe dog's ears, and it will never happen again, so I had to distance myself from literary theory.
I think that's always a good call, but before you start reading, I would kindly ask you for one more big applause. A true millennial, really.
Vrijeme dugog oporavka. Došli smo u godine u kojima zrelost nema veze s godinama. Ptice se sporazumijevaju tako da kretanjem oponašaju putanje nebeskih tijela. Žabe plove morima koristeći svoje glatke grlene opne kao jedra. 7 dana samoće proteklo je ovako. Prvog dana nisam ni shvatila da sam sama. Drugog dana svakodnevica je bila uobičajena.
Nisam ništa jela i malo sam spavala. Skuhala sam juhu od tvoje košulje za slučaj da na vrata pokuca neki gost. Na kraju sam njome oprala prozore. Bolje je tako nego da bacim kakvu uvredu u smjeru vrata. Vrata kroz koja niko ne prolazi, koja su zaključana, zašivena u topli zid mojeg želuca, progutana ježeva kuća. Trećeg sam dana shvatila da sam sama. Ribe su se uplašile i okupile u jato. Održale su sastanak na kojem su odlučile da će od sutra živjeti kao srebrni šišmiši. Letjet će prema svjetlu, zatvoriti oči i brojati dane senzorima koje nose u grlu. Odlučila sam ostati sama i prigrliti svoje novo stanje kao vrijeme dugog oporavka. 4. se dana ne sjećam. 5. se dana dobro sjećam, ali radije o njemu ne bi govorila. 6. sam dana odlučila, bit ću sama. I doista, 7. dan, kao da puca led u mojim koljenima, u mojim zahvalama, u člancima mene pauka koji nalikuje na psa, u zubima mene lisice koja nalikuje na vuk. Hvala. Fotografija patke. Fotografirala sam patku koja stoji na drvenom trupcu da ti pokažem patku i trupac, ili da kažem bila je patka. Ostatak dana nanosim šminku na lice, pa se ogledam. Gledam u sebe iz daljine dok se ne prepoznam i onda si maknem. Kažem si dobar dan. Kad se dovršim kažem ovo su usta ili ovakva usta i uronim usne u sjemenke velikog nara i izreknem nar, bio je nar, ovakav nar i onda ga progutam. Pojavljujem se samo za sebe i te izvedbe prate pljuskovi s niskog neba krošanja skakavaca i zrikavaca. Oni su zapravo isto stvorenje, samo što je jedan davno izgubio plač kad ga je zakopao u grudi zemlje da ga sačuva i onda zaboravio. Zeleno na očima, crveno na ustima, drugi je zadržao u sebi svoj plač i nabavio reket za badminton, reket nalik na onaj kojim smo u djetinjstvu udarali hruštove koji lete i neki su, kad ih sruše na pod, još polovili rubom, kriveći tako obruče reketa i trgajući njegove žice, ali ne ja. Patka je jutros jela nar, ili patka je jučer snijela taj nar. Bila je crvena, crvenog kljuna i crvenog repa. Bila je zelena, kao skakavac, zrikavac, crvena i zelena kao meso koje sjedi na travi. Dan je standardan, kao rane na koljenima, laktovima, listovima i bedrima, djevojčica koje igraju nogomet na minskom polju u travi višoj od njihovih struka.
Mr. Kreho, would you care to join me? Big applause, please.
Thank you.
Well, a lot of people know you as a critic. I think that most people know you as a very, very tough critic. When I heard that you were writing a review of my book, I had a panic attack, basically. And you know a lot of theory, that really shows through every review. But you also write. So does knowing so much theory, is it like some sort of barrier when you actually write your own stuff?
I don't think I know that much theory, actually.
Everybody's modest here.
No, especially when it comes to, let's say, I don't know, the philosophical tradition, and you know, I feel like even insofar as the, let's say, the Western theoretical and philosophical canon, I'm lagging behind. But no, I don't feel it interfering. I mean, since you know, since I began writing or publishing really different genre and formats, and like fiction, poetry, criticism, non-fiction, essay. I think you sort of have to approach it with different personalities. If you try to approach it with, you know, this is me, I mean, some authors maybe can, you know, function like that. Say, okay, all of this is me. It's all these are my avatars. But personally, I don't feel at ease like that. I think you have to have different personalities and, you know, forget about the other stuff when you're writing something.
Since you're agreeing, okay, this is going to be 2 questions, so don't forget them, because I always forget if someone has more than 1 question for me. So, having, you know, you follow the contemporary scene a lot, the millennial scene, so to say. So it's going to be the same question once more. So, what are millennials? And the second question, in their writing, did you notice any negative trends, or basically any trends when it comes to this generation?
I recently listened to a radio broadcast of a show about culture on Croatian public radio. Yes, I'm that kind of masochist. And somebody just said, you know, like completely nonchalantly, just a fact, millennials, which is to say the generation born after 2000. It was like, what? No, people don't really care about this sort of stuff. It shows how, you know, the cultural establishment around here is like, you know, depressingly far from this sort of, you know, self-reflection or question. What are millennials? I mean, there are several definitions. I can actually I like the war, the Yugoslav wars, as a, you know, dividing line, and as a which Marija referred to, because I think I personally, yeah, for instance, I don't know, in some aspects I would say I'm a millennial in some sense. I do remember the war, I do remember before the war too, but it's sort of, you know, I didn't have, in some sense, I grew up after the war and with the experience of the war. So here in the post-Yugoslav space, as they say, or the Yugoslav region, I can accept your you know, your expression. Here, yes, it's quite a good market actually. And as for trends, well, I'm noticing some general trends, but I wouldn't say that actually they're very specific to this. One specific trend, it might have to do with the war once again, is that, you know, during the 90s in Yugoslavia, which was undergoing a breakup, and all the countries that, you know, inherited it, there was this big trend of writing about the war from, you know, the perspective of a child and from or an adolescent. A lot of novels were written, and they were written like by mostly 40-50-year-old men. But nowadays, in the last couple of years, I see more and more people, some a bit older, some a bit younger than me, but authors who actually were children during the war and who actually tell this experience. And I don't think it's necessarily better or more authentic, because I think one has to be, one has to have a certain distance towards this kind of labels, but it's interesting. But another general trend, which is probably connected to this first one, and I think it's really a trend in you know, for what I see of literature, in what I managed to follow in the Western Europe and the Anglo-Saxon world, in France, for example. Also, it's this trend of you know, writing about one's own generational experience. It's mostly, of course, in prose or in literary fiction, as we would say, but even in poetry, some sort of generational, confessional poetry maybe, and this idea of writing about your own experience, of telling a generational experience, and maybe it's more connected to this millennial talk of, what is this generation, what is the following generation. I think the following generation is maybe more interesting to try to define than the millennial generation.
You're a tough critic yourself, but when you write, who reads your stuff first?
Who reads my stuff first? My partner, yeah, it's a question. I was looking at her so I can name her, and also my best friend, who is unfortunately not here today, but he's very busy. He is. You should see him if you think I'm a tough critic. You should see him when he reads some of the stuff. His friends write. Yeah, that's basically the two of them, and then the two of them, I send most of the stuff I write, regardless of genre, for them to read first. But there are some specific people to which I send specific stuff. For example, when I write something, I think, okay, this is a good story, poem, essay, whatever, to send to this person because I always have something in mind. I think it either connects to someone's own sensibility or poetics, or I write about a certain subject or in a certain style or genre I think they have a good grasp of, so it depends.
One last question before you read. So, Myroslav Laiuk had swimming. What do you have that's not very writerly, so that's not drinking coffee, drinking or smoking? What do you have?
I love coffee, actually. But I think sports are great. Yeah, I don't know. I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu. If that's what you wanted to hear.
That's what I wanted.
I don't think I've been training it for years and years and years, and I think it's sort of. I have to have some sort of physical activity. It doesn't have to be that. I just think it's a good sport, to get out of one's own head because it's very intense, and I have to get out of my head from time to time, at least for a bit.
I play basketball with other writers, and it's ridiculous. It's really embarrassing. But please, give a big applause.
Thank you. So, we have poetry from Marija. We have poetry also from Myroslav. I guess we will have some literary fiction or story from Luiza. So, I thought about reading some excerpts from a non-fiction book, an essay of mine, which is conveniently, the book is titled Mladi, pisac. I was a young writer, or I was an emerging writer, which is how I translated it into English, because I think this connotation of this expression, young writer, is much stronger in Croatian or Serbo-Croatian. It's much more oppressive.
You know what's weird? I rarely hear the expression young poet. I always hear just young writer. Like, poets are by default like 50 years or something like that. I don't know. Sorry.
Or 15. Okay. Unfortunately, I have it only in Croatian, but some translations are forthcoming, so we can do a mailing list or something. So, some excerpts from the eponymous essay, I was a young writer. Bio sam mladi pisac. U jednom od svojih prijašnjih života žudio sam za istaknutim mjestom u književnom i intelektualnom životu sredine u kojoj sam živio i studirao književnost. Kružio sam sa svojim pričama, pjesmama, kritikama i političkim analizama oko skupine muškaraca na koji sam gledao kao na nešto od riječi, etički i estetički superiorne učmaloj sredini u kojoj djeluju. Pohodio sam promocije, tribine i književne večeri na kojima su se okupljali, kao i birtije koje su posjećivali, s uvjerenjem da se tamo, na tribini i u birtiji podjednako, brane ne samo istinske umjetničke i književne vrijednosti, nego i kritičko mišljenje i demokracija uopće. Za svaku nepodopštinu na sceni koju bi neka od tih sjedih glava skrivila, a znalo je biti pravih svinjarija, izvukao bih prigodnu racionalizaciju iz rukava. Zauzvrat, Bio sam čašćen i hvaljen kao dečko koji obećava. Te su mi pohvale davale osjećaj da sam bliže ne samo ispunjenju svojih pretpostavljenih literarnih potencijala, nego i punopravnom članstvu u svijetu odraslih, mislećih muškaraca. Ukratko, bio sam mladi pisac. Preskačem malo, I'm skipping some. U obiteljskoj konstelaciji biti prepoznat kao mladi pisac znači dobiti tretman podmlatka koji još nije izrastao u punopravnog člana zajednice. Pred mladim piscem stoji perspektiva da bude primljen u zajednicu odraslih s pripadajućim odgovornostima, ovlaštenjima i privilegijama, ukoliko se pokaže zrelim i dostojnim. Zrelost mu pak valja zaraditi na poziciji koja mu je dodijeljena i pod uvjetima koji mu se diktiraju, a da pritom uspješno izbjegne zastranjenje. Ukoliko je nadležni obiteljski krug, koliko toliko blagonaklon i funkcionalan, taj proces za mladog pisca može proći relativno bezbolno, što dakako ne čini pripadajuće mehanizme manje problematičnim. Ukoliko to pak nije slučaj, mladi pisac može se naći u naoko beskrajnom polu izrabljivačkih pa i zlostavljačkih praksi, od rutinske patronizacije, preko različitih vrsta nipodaštavanja i ismijavanja, sve do golog iskorištavanja, na primjer u svrhe usmenog i pismenog reklamiranja ili lobiranja u polju. Poznavao sam neke koji su ostali forever young, upravo na ovaj najgori od mogućih načina. Još malo preskačem. Na koncu nisam postao pisac. Navodnici su tu da razlikuju simbolički status u odnosu na empirijsko zanimanje i poziciju. U okolnostima kojih sam se prisjetio na početku ovog osvrta i pod uvjetima koji su mi tad i tamo zato nametani. Takav ishod dijelom proizlazi iz moje promjene stavova i konzekventnih svjesnih postupaka, a dijelom je rezultat niza slučajnosti i spleta okolnosti. U svakom slučaju, svoj neuspjeh danas smatram dragocjenim. Relativno sitni privilegiji u našem književnom životu ponekad dolaze s brutalnom cijenom. Hvala.
And last but not least, Luiza, one more big applause. I would just like to begin with, she's responsible for me being late today, because she's...
So you want to be honest about that, why you were late, or...?
I got lost, basically, in my own time, so...
And he's obviously embarrassed to say that, which is kind of embarrassing.
I am very, very, very much embarrassed by that. But thank you for getting that out of the way.
Okay.
So basically we were talking, like, what are we going to talk about? It cannot be feminism again, it cannot be anti-fascism, it cannot be your hometown as well. So I'm going to go with all of those questions, basically.
Okay.
But firstly, you won a really great literary award, Prozac, one of the best awards for young writers in Croatia, so it's basically going to be the same question that I asked Marija. How important was winning that award?
I mean, it was extremely important to win that award because that award is basically getting published. So it's getting your manuscript, something that you worked on for a very, very long time, finally actually becoming a book. So in that sense, that is great. On another level, it is also brilliant because you get to work with extraordinary professionals. So you get a team of people that you actually work with, which is not something that I even thought about that. I just thought, okay, so it's a book deal, but you get Olja Savicević-Ivančević, which is a very famous Croatian author, as your editor. You also get Kruno Lokotar, who's one of, best known editors in the region, and man who recently I was at a festival and someone said, is that something Kruno Lokotar does? Because like everything that happens, almost everything that happens in literature in Croatia, you know that it's his project in some way. So you actually get not only your book published, but you also get a support from a group of really wonderful professionals that is not limited only to the book itself, but the entire process that I'm just kind of starting, and that's everything that happens after you publish a book.
I mean, I had a great editor as well, but Olja Savicević-Ivančević, she is probably the best writer in this area right now. I was just like, what was it like working with her? I mean, what kind of advice does she give? Because she has an incredible aura, her books are incredible, so what was it like working with her?
So, I mean, that's like
question number 3, everyone asks me in every single interview. So usually they have 2 questions about me.
Question number 2.
Yeah, but usually like 2 questions about me and then what was it like to work with her. And it was really brilliant to work with her because Ola doesn't give advice. So what Ola does, she asks you to think about what you've written and what you've done. So the way we started working on this particular manuscript is that she asked me to send her like a really short explanation about what I think the book is about and what I would like for that book to be. And the purpose of that was just sort of for her to identify what was really in my mind and what is actually in this book, and to see how big is the discrepancy between one and the other. So we actually started writing by just like figuring out that yes, okay, so what you want is in this manuscript, so now we can just focus on making it even better than it is.
Whereas Kruno was?
Well, Kruno was like, he came in the last round of everything, so he was like our final check. And Kruno has this very interesting way of, well, it's kind of less empathic than Ola does it, because Kruno just like gives you a bunch of comments, this is not a good idea, you can find a better word, and I would leave this out. So he has these very, very short and very brief comments, and then in this final round I asked him, okay, so there's a couple of these comments that I don't really, okay, so you said leave it out, or this could be better, but can you explain that? And then when you make him write things and write like an actual explanation, he has like, you finally get a glimpse into his mind. You see how that mind works, and actually like the final round of his comments I said, okay, so now that you explained this, I'm just going to leave it out as it is and we can just send this to the printers this way.
I don't know, I just think he's crazy, but that's just me.
Yeah, he likes me, and I also had a concussion 2 months before that, and he was very worried about my health, so I think that also contributed to him being extra nice to me.
You couldn't read, right?
I was not allowed to read, yes.
For how long?
No, but like for a very short amount of time, but I was not allowed to read or to do anything, and then every now and then he would check up on me, and then I think I didn't reply to his text for like 24 hours, then he sent me like 2 texts and an email, are you okay? I'm worried you're not replying to my texts. So yeah, so sometimes having a concussion brings you certain benefits in communication with other people, even though you have to stay in your home and not communicate with anyone.
You know this question is coming.
Well, which one?
Millennials.
Okay.
What are they? Are you a millennial?
I don't know.
You don't know what they are?
I think I'm just like, I would say like the same thing that Dinko said, both yes and no, because I have like a very vivid recollection of the analog age. I mean, I remember the way things were without internet. I think I got my first phone and it was like a Nokia 3310.
That's the one, it's indestructible.
It still works. My family actually, no seriously, that Nokia 3310 that I got in my I think it was the 3rd grade of high school, still works. My family uses it like as a fixed phone at this moment, so yeah. So in that sense, yes, but I think that also like the effect that the internet has had on all of us and the vastness of the change that it brought about is something that I would say I'm definitely defined by, yes.
And you know this question is coming.
I know every question that is coming, that's why we relate.
So, like, I think that was 2012, it was the first anthology of young authors here in Croatia. And what I really dug about it was that it was 50-50 when it came to male and female, which was something that was not quite common in previous generations. I don't know if you can remember that many female authors, and these days I think it's obviously it is a normal thing. But do you think that obviously it's a positive change, but do you think I don't know how to phrase this question really. That's
because you're trying to be politically correct and not offend me or anyone else.
I am scared of you, though. I am scared of you. I have to admit that. But it was a long time coming, obviously. But how do you? I really don't know. I don't know how to phrase this question. See, that's what's bothering me. So
okay. Do you want me to answer the first part of your question about the anthology, so you can take some to think about?
What's the next step there when it comes
What's the next step?
Exactly.
Well, okay, so in terms of that anthology, I really like that book because I think it stood the test of time. We recently had that conversation because we found that book on a shelf somewhere in a friend's house, and then we opened it, and then we like literally saw that all the people that are in there, like all the 24 people, and that was some 7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
All these people are still active. All these people are writing, and all these people are actually producing far better text than they did in 2012. So, I mean, that's, I would say, the best way to show that that was something definitely worth doing. I think it came from the fact, I think that like this gender balance in the book itself came from the people who made it. I think that these two, Robert Perisic and Andrea Milankova, are very well aware, and they were very serious when they started with the idea of making that anthology, and also when having in mind what possible effect it could have. In terms of like the next step, apart from the fact, you mean like the next step from this moment now in which we have like a lot of female authors writing both poetry and prose, and a lot of really visible female authors.
And being recognized.
In being recognized. Well, I think that maybe the next step and the best possible step is to kind of have that completely normalized, so that you and I don't always have to have that same conversation. And not only you and me, but everybody always has like a set of basic questions that you always talk to women about. And that is, okay, so obviously now we're in a time when there are so many more female authors. Usually it also revolves around this idea that, wow, okay, so now at this point we're currently obviously as a society and as a literature opening up to all these topics that are very, very intimate, that are concerned with like family life or emotional life of characters, and maybe that point in which someone will not ask a female short story writer or a female poet, so when are you going to become really serious and write a novel? So what is like the next step in your career? So it's all nice and fine, these short stories and these poems that you write, but when are you actually going to write like this really big, important book, which always is the novel?
That's not what I asked.
No, seriously, but this is like a set of questions. So I was like, yes, I came back from a festival in Macedonia. So there's like a list, this is basically like a list of things. So it was an all-female panel. The man was a moderator, and this is basically like the list of questions that they answered.
Check.
Yes. So this is basically roughly what they had to talk about.
But I love the fact that the next step is not becoming a normal dance, basically. So before you read one of the last rounds of applause, please.
So I'm just going to keep this relatively short and just read a part of one of the short stories that's in my first and only book at the moment. Miris raštipanog ružmarina i kadulje koji slobodni rastu u prirezu. Povrtnjak iz kojeg je Mara prije zore ubrala prve zrele rajčice, mirisne zelene paprike i ljubičasti luk još topa od zagrljaja zemlje, čiju slatkoću sada grabimo paučinastim bijelim kruhom i trpamo u usta zajedno s nekim mesom. Riječi smo progutali zajedno s biljem i životinjama i sad ih zalijevamo trpkim vinom. Sve se to u mom trbuhu pračaka kao riba, kao zlosutan znak koji ne znam protumačiti. Goran i Tomislava traže Maru da im gata. Čuli su jutros u selu da je najbolja u tome. Dado se smije. Mara namješta na glavi svoj crni šudar, križa se pa se smije dici za koje misle da su pametna i školovana, a ona nasila na seoske budaletine. Njezine vodenaste oči me umiruju. Čini se da jedino one osjećaju tu zlosutnu ribu što se u meni pračaka. Ona pristaje na igru i jednog po jednog nas odvodi iza kuće. Ja sam zadnji čiju muljavu šalicu kave prevrću njezini topli prsti, tamni kao zemlja o kojoj svako jutro rade. Zagleda se u njezin mrak, pa prozbori nešto kratko i zakučasto što premičem pod jezikom dok ponovo sjedam za stol. Njezina crna mačka prilazi i mazno vijuga među mojim potkoljenicama. Trgam komad pupe s kosti i nudim ju, ali ona se odmiče, sve dok me ne namami pod stol. Pod stolom su sve noge nepomične, kao deblo čija se krošnja razlistava nad nama. Samo su se dvije na suprotnom kraju naslonile jedna na drugu i iz njih su nikle dvije ruke, čije su se prsti isprepleli kao grane. Maca grabi svoj komad mesa i pohlepno žvače, ali ja sam taj kojem nešto zapinje u grlu. Iznad stola Goran i Tomislava se ni ne gledaju. Mare iznosi veliku tepsiju s kolačem u kojem krvare prve jagode i uz nju položi veliki srebrni nož koji na suncu bljesne kao blic fotoaparata. Fotografija vas dvoje ispred kina. Njegova ruka nesigurno naslonjena na tvoje rame, jedva primjetan smješak razvučen preko tvojih usana. Vas dvoje ukočeni, uplašeni kao pred farom automobila, jer znate da se vidi. Vas dvoje ljubavnici, već tada ili uskoro, vičem ili mi se samo tako čini. Ruke, sasvim nalik mojima, grabe nož iz tepsije i pokušavaju njime rasporiti tu fotografiju koju mi zaklanja pogled. Jednim preciznim rezom prekinuti i njih i zaglušujuće šuštanje u krošnjama od kojeg ne razumijem što to dado viče, a kako bi razumio kad već jurim stazom prema voćnjaku. Ispred mene Goran, obavijen bijelom prašinom koja se diže i šljunka, iza mene Tomislavino lice iskrivljeno bolnom grimasom i Dado koji je gura u Marin zagrljaj i daje se u trg za mnom. Izmaglica na zemlji, neprekidni redovi rascvalih trešanja, oblaci. Sve je bijelo, a u meni ključa grimizna gorčina koja se naprasno probija prema grlu, obara na tlo i ja izbacujem tu sazrelu tajnu u nevinost otpalih latica.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was it for this evening. My name is Sven. This was one edition of the World Literature Festival. And sure.
Why Luiza has a need to speak in English, and I was thinking that she is from Spain. So how come you got this name?
Luiza doesn't have the need to speak in English. Luiza has to speak in English tonight because that's the rule of this event.
Maybe we got it wrong. Maybe it was supposed to be.
I'm not from Spain. I got this name from Algeria because my father is Algerian, so I'm not from Spain, yeah. So this last name, and the first name.
You live in Boston?
No. I've lived all my life in Croatia. In Split for the first 26 years, and since then in Zagreb.
Anybody else?
But tekcija je to nije baš iz Split.
People have the need to use words that are from different dialects and languages. I think that's quite normal.
Because Croatian Standard Language also includes different words from different dialects and enjoys it also at the same time.